Good evening. This is Dr. Sudarshan Ray bringing to you the latest in the series of psychoeducative videos which are aimed at educating the common masses about the various common psychiatric problems. Now, today we are going to deal with a problem which is very common. I mean, it's been common for a pretty long time. That is the issue of domestic violence. Now, today being the International Day for the Working Woman, it's actually the International Day for the Working Woman. Uh, we are going to discuss this issue of domestic violence and how it has affected the working woman. And this is in respect to the COVID pandemic lockdown period. Now, as far as the COVID 19 lockdown period is concerned, it has had a cascading effect on the domestic violence all over the world. The marital discord, the differences of opinion, the intolerance have all increased manifold throughout the world and has resulted in an increased number of divorce. Ironically, during the COVID-19 lockdown period, I mean, since the legal channels were not accessible on account of the lockdown, people somehow chose to stay together in what we commonly term as the graveyard living. And in spite of differences of opinion, irreconcilable differences in opinion, the couples stayed together. The legal channels being shut, and after the pandemic was over, the lockdown was over, and the courts opened. Actually, people went for divorce, and you can see that the divorce rates throughout the world have since registered an unprecedented increase. Now, the COVID-19 lockdown, as we are all aware, have had immense economic impact. I mean, it has resulted in loss of jobs of millions all across the globe. It has actually resulted in the loss of 5 million lives and affected 300 million persons all over the globe. The massive economic fallout has been there, the loss of jobs, the humanitarian aspect being that, the working women especially have been exposed to domestic violence and abuse because economic stability has been threatened. The pandemic has threatened the livelihoods. There's an increased level of stress due to the double burden of care and household duties, the work from home, and it was a catastrophic. It was a catastrophic situation. What happened during this COVID-19 lockdown period? Now, during this lockdown period, what we have observed that there was an emotional divorce between the husband and the wife. I mean, they were staying under one roof, but they did not agree on almost all principles. And as you say, out of sight, out of mind. I mean, people going out for work early in the morning, then the entire day they're busy in business or office or in service, and they are coming late in the evening, they're very tired. So, I mean, basically, they could not make mountains out of molehills. I mean, these differences of opinion, they somehow let it be. And but during the lockdown period, they were forced to stay together, the work from home, so that actually they could not actually bypass the problems being face to face, and basically the molehills turned out to be mountains. And the couples actually, the individual members of a family, they did try and adjust. I mean, the initial feeling is that of shock. Then why is it is happening between us? Then the actually couples, they do try and adjust. In my words, compromise is a better word. And then basically when they find out that the differences of opinion were such that they cannot actually make up, and that is the relation sets in. I mean, there's a sort of depression and stress, and then they make a last ditch attempt, but ultimately the realization comes that they have to go for a divorce. In medical parlance, when medicine fails, even after the best attempts, after the last ditch attempt, we go for surgery, and this surgery is this divorce part. It's not that we encourage divorce, but you see, previously, many years back, when especially when the difference in age of husband and wife, and when the social media and other things were not that widely prevalent. I mean, the working women or even the housewife, they somehow adjusted, or with the domestic violence, when being physically abused, we never came to know about what's happening in the house, and then we got the news of the death. Divorce was not very common, but now you see, the definition of marriage as a legal contract to have sexual intercourse. I mean, now the couples, actually they fend for themselves. I mean, the husband fends for himself. I mean, looks after his career interests. The wife look after her career interests, and they do contribute to the family, but they also, I mean, keep their individual this freedom intact. In one way, this is a positive development, that the women, especially the working women, they do not accept domestic violence on the face of it, and just for the sake of keeping the marriage intact, they no longer support the domestic violence. Then the matter of the domestic rape, which is the marital rape, which is a very, very sensitive issue nowadays, because in our country, if you are above 15 years old and if you are married, then obviously this you cannot call the sex as a something which is a rape, but obviously marital rape is very much their reality. I mean, women have been blackmailed, and they have been forced to have sex, and even unnatural sex, and if they did not do so, I mean, they were subjected to physical abuse. So the marital rape also increased during this COVID-19 pandemic period. As I said, that nowadays, basically, especially after this pandemic period is over, people, the couples, being looking after their own interests. I mean, their own personal interests apart from family interests. They also give importance to their own personal this interest. They take care of themselves, and so divorce is very much an option for them. And divorce is certainly one of the factors which actually help working women escape from domestic violence. Now, how the mental health professionals can help, actually, when even the patients come to them, I mean, they can detect the signs of abuse. Even if the lady is not forthcoming, they should ask questions and give examples of other families without naming, and find out if there's actually abuse taking place. I mean, why the differences of opinion, why the idea of divorce. They should actually determine the level of the danger, and they should help the patient, the lady, to actually formulate a safety plan, and the appropriate referrals should be there. I mean, contacting the legal authorities, contacting the psychiatrists, the NGOs, and obviously this will help in the lady, the working woman, escape from domestic violence to a great extent. And divorce is certainly an option, though in India the social fabric is very much strong still, as compared to the West, and people do compromise. Even the husband tries and compromise, but obviously, as the husband and the wife have been brought up in different verticals, and the personalities are different, and personality is never inherited, it is acquired, as I've mentioned in my earlier videos. So, I mean, coping mechanisms, the strategies, the coping strategies, the mechanisms, the problem solving capacities, the stress handling capacities, they differ and other factors, other social factors, other family members factors, they also play a role. So obviously, in such cases, a solution divorce may be a solution. It has been seen that in case of in the short term, male persons suffer more. In the mid term, both male and female persons suffer to the similar extent, and in the longer term, the ladies suffer to the greater extent than the male persons, because our society is mainly a patriarchal society. So stigma is still attached with divorce, but it is decreasing, and that is a positive development. As you can see that in case of domestic violence and in case of such irreconcilable differences of opinion, the husband and wife can actually look for divorce so that they can start a second innings. They can avoid this domestic violence, they can avoid this stress, both members. And obviously, the stigma associated with divorce, basically, that should hopefully lessen, and that is something better for the society, because such differences of opinion and this violence, this affects the children also. So the future of our society is also jeopardized to a very great extent, because children learn from their parents, and they also get into domestic violence when they get married, and obviously that is not good for the development of the society as the civilization as a whole. So till the when you face such problems, if you as an observer face such a problem, or you feel your friend of someone is facing such a problem, do consult the legal authorities, do consult the mental health professionals, and see that such violences are done away with, such unfortunate incidents of suicides, the deaths, etc., are done away with. And obviously divorce is certainly an option, even if it may be the last option. So in this part of the video, I've dealt with the domestic violence as a fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic period, and on International Working Women's Day, I'm presenting this video. And if you like it, do subscribe, share, comment to help me raise awareness. So till the next video comes on, it's bye from my end.